For people listening and watching this episode of the show, where should my listeners begin? Like, obviously, water, air, food. There's lots of variables here, right? So without overwhelming listeners, I mean, what's that first step?
So we did this because we got asked that question all the time. We created the Parkinson's 25.
Okay, cool.
These are...
this is in the Parkinson's plan, by the way.
The Parkinson's plan.
A book that I had the distinct honor of getting to endorse. So thank you for letting me do that.
Outstanding. It's in the new version coming out August 19th. So here are 25 actions to lower your risk of Parkinson's. For those with the disease, some may even slow progression. Most apply to all of us regardless of age, sex, disability, or geography. These recommendations may be especially important for those with a family history of Parkinson's, those at genetic risk, or those who have been exposed to toxic chemicals. So I'll read you number 1. Wash your produce, even your organic ones. Pesticides have contaminated our food supply. Remnants of pesticides are found in 20% of common foods. Organic produce, dairy products, and meat can reduce exposure, but can still have unsafe residues of pesticides. So wash your produce at least with water and consider simple vegetable washes, vinegar, or salt solutions too. Number 2 is straight out of Max Lugavere's Genius Foods, change your diet. Individuals who eat a Mediterranean diet, high in fruits and vegetables and low in animal products, I know we still animals are good, may lower the risk of Parkinson's. Such a diet may also be beneficial for those who already have the disease. The reasons for the benefit are not certain and may include reduced exposure to pesticides, which can concentrate in meat and dairy as they make their way at the food chain. So use a grass-fed beef, organic produce. I think organic might be even more important for dairy products, more important for meat, more important for eggs, because some of these toxins might get concentrated as they move up the chain.
But what is I would assume that the risk of exposure would be way higher to fruits and vegetables as compared to any animal product.
No, because the animal's concentrated in their fat as it goes up so I'll tell you a story. So Guam, I mentioned before we came on, do you know the story about Guam? So 6 hours after Japan bombs Pearl Harbor in 1941, they overtake the U.S. island of Guam. The indigenous population there, the Chamorro, had long used cycad seeds, imagine like a seed from a palm-like tree, to produce tortillas. But they knew that there was a toxic chemical in the cycad seed, so they would carefully prepare that cycad seed over 3 weeks. They would wash it thoroughly. They would even feed the wash to a chicken. The chicken died, they knew they needed to wash it further. And then they would make flour, and they were fine. But when Japan occupied Guam, it was harsh conditions, and so the indigenous population went into the jungles, and they didn't have their normal fishing spots, and they didn't have time to 3 weeks of production for their tortillas. You know, when you're on the run, it's not going to work.
Right.
So they prepared them less. So after World War II, a physician comes to. Can I read a little bit of the book?
Absolutely, please, yeah.
So this is chapter 1 about pesticides. So I'll read you.
I love that we're getting into it. So great.
In January 1945, so after World War II, a century after Dr. Parkinson's essay, a 43-year-old pathologist encountered an entirely new disease on the opposite side of the world. Dr. Harry Zimmerman, a Yale-trained physician who would later help found the Albert Einstein College of Medicine in New York, sailed into Guam. On the island 3,800 miles west of Honolulu, he was part of U.S. Naval Medical Research Unit No. 2. His charge was to investigate diseases of military importance on the newly recaptured island. Malaria, hepatitis, and other infectious diseases which threatened American troops in the Pacific Theater were supposed to be his focus. Instead, he saw something disturbingly common. The indigenous population of Guam, the Chamorro, thought to have sailed to the Mariana Islands from the Philippines and Singapore 3,500 years earlier, were presenting at astonishing rates with a novel illness. On the island, which was now teeming with 200,000 U.S. service members, Zimmerman first observed the unmistakable signs of malnourishment, including peeling hands, insufficient niacin, and swollen hearts, deficiency in thiamine. But later, on his 63rd autopsy on the island, the pathologist evaluated a 42-year-old man whose tongue was shriveled and arms and legs wasted. Zimmerman suspected that the man had been suffering from amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, which was confirmed on the examination of the man's heart and spinal cord. About 10 days later, Zimmerman performed another autopsy on a 38-year-old man with ALS. As one of the rising stars in the new field of neuropathology, Zimmerman certainly knew about ALS. American baseball legend and former New York Yankee Lou Gehrig had just died from the condition 5 years earlier. However, the paralytic illness was rare, affecting less than 1 out of every 10,000 Americans. On Guam, Zimmerman was seeing far more cases in the morgue and the clinics than that. Subsequent researchers found that the Chamorro, and only the Chamorro, were developing the disease at 50 to 100 times the rate seen in the U.S.
Wow.
So it turns out that the cycad seed has a fat-soluble mitochondrial toxicant called BMAA. And so the hypothesis is that the Chamorro were eating this and consuming it and leading to ALS presenting about 5 to 10 years after exposure, a Parkinsonian-like symptom 10 to 15 years later, and dementia 25 years later. It's a Guam complex, ALS, Parkinsonism, and dementia.
Oof.
It may not have just humans weren't the only ones eating the cycad seeds. Flying foxes, think like of bats, also like to devour the cycad seeds. And it turned out that Chamorro liked to eat bats as a delicacy. The concentration of the BMAA in the bat was 100 times what it was in the cycad plant.
Oh, wow.
And then in the Chamorro people, it would be 100 times that.
So the bats were bioaccumulating this plant toxin.
Exactly.
Essentially, and they were eating bats. Wow.
And so just like, the cows concentrating the heptachlor in their milk and the humans consuming the milk, you see the same thing. And so you can see some of the residues of these toxicants in breast milk of nursing women.
That's shocking. In the breast milk of nursing women. Wow. So yeah, I mean, so toxins are stored in fat-soluble toxins.
Yeah.
And these the compounds that we're discussing are among them.
Yeah. So if you're going to eat your meat and cheese,
eat your
organic
animal protein, but look organic. Okay. I actually never really thought that organic was a big deal when it came to animal source foods, for the reason that for what I had suspected that I shared earlier.
So I'm a vegetarian, but I eat.
Well, actually, not to cut you off, but it's interesting because you want to be, especially if you're eating 100% grass-fed cows.
Yeah.
Right.
You want to make sure that
the grass that they're eating. Very interesting. Wow.
Yes. So exactly. And so I like dairy products. I'm generally a vegetarian. But I get really concerned about cheese and yogurt because I like to eat cheese and yogurt. And so I get really concerned, where's my cheese and yogurt coming from and what were the cows eating?
Do you think it's a concern? Because there is an interesting link between non-fat and full-fat dairy and Parkinson's, right? I forget the specifics.
So there were some, again, imperfect studies because, doing these studies, a lot of noise, very difficult. Some suggesting that non-fat, the relationship between drinking milk and Parkinson's might be more common among whole milk, so with fat in it. And so, more research needed, and I could be wrong. As I think I worry less about the nutritional content of the fat in the thing. I worry about what's in the fat.
In the fat, yeah.
So I worry about what are the cows eating that they're now
bioaccumulating, concentrating. Yeah, man, so
but
interesting.
But we don't need to do this.
Right.
Many of these pesticides that we're talking about have been around since the 1960s and the 1970s. I mean, few of your listeners are driving a car from the 1960s or 1970s, and no one's hopping in an airplane from the 1960s or 1970s. If engineers can come up with safer modes of transportation, chemists can certainly come up with
why are we still using chemicals from that era? Right? Oh, it's so maddening.
But we can do this. I mean, we've got rid of CFCs, and our ozone layer has been repaired. We've gotten rid of lead. Our kids are more intelligent. We need to worry about their exposure to pesticides. we've gotten our air quality better. We need to make it even more so that rates of asthma, rates of Alzheimer's disease, rates of lung diseases can all drop as well.
Hey, if you liked that video, you need to check out this one here, and I'll see you there.